So we'll go ahead and start. I just wanted to kind of take an opportunity to fill you guys in on the changes that we made to the program this year, show you some of the upgrades that they've made to the SimplyWell portal, and mostly I just wanted you guys to have an opportunity to ask me questions about the portal, about the requirements, about the timing, all of that good stuff. I get a lot of questions throughout the day, so I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to talk face-to-face about any questions that you might have. So I'll kind of run through the portal quickly so there's enough time for questions, and then at the end if I need to go in depth a little bit more, I can. There's handouts here if you guys want one of those. Just pass them around. Thanks. Just has some basics about the program this year. You can take notes on there if you'd like. So this is my portal, so this is what yours should look like. I've already logged in. And it's not my first time logging in either. So if you have not logged in yet this wellness year, you're going to have to go through a short enrollment process. So it's just going to go through like your username and password. It's going to be pre-filled in there with what your password has already been, but if for some reason you want to change it, you can go ahead and do that. It'll take you through like just your contact info, and then it will prompt you to sign up for a health screen. But in there's a spot for you to put, like, I do not want to register for a health screen because we do them here. This is if it were to be signed up on SimplyWell. So you just select that you don't want to, and then move on. And it should take you to the health questionnaire. We've been having some issues with people not being able to get into the questionnaire. When I took it personally, it took me a couple times for it to let me in. And then when it finally did let me in, it was a little, wishy-washy, like kicked me back out again. I finally did get it completed, but if you're having issues with that, I'm going to talk to our account manager today about it. So I was telling them before we started that SimplyWell rolls over all of their new updates on their website at the same time that we happen to roll our program over. So usually when our new wellness year starts, they're upgrading their website as well, so there's always a lot of bugs and glitches and things for them to work through. So if you're noticing something that's not right or if something's not working, you just have to let me know, because I don't always know those things either, so I have to be able to make them aware so we can get those things fixed. So once you log in and go through that short enrollment process, you can go ahead and do the health questionnaire, or you can come back and do it later. If you just go back to the home page, it's not going to make you complete it, and you can come back to it whenever, and I'll show you where you can access that. So home page is what this is going to look like right here. So there's a few screens that I'll scroll through, but most importantly is this first one. It's going to show you what the requirements are for the program on this front page. So the 3 requirements this year are that you complete the questionnaire, that you're tobacco free or you have attempted quitting before the end of the year, and that you get the amount of points, which is still 600 for this year. So once all 3 of those bars are all the way across, that's going to mean that you're done, you've completed the program. So that's just an easy way to kind of gauge where you're at. The health questionnaire, and then it's going to scroll through different pages, but the health questionnaire, there's a question in there for you to answer if you're a tobacco user or not. That's where they're going to get your tobacco status. So make sure that you go through and answer that question. I believe it's required, so it shouldn't let you finish it unless you answer that question. One of the glitches here is I took the health questionnaire and it didn't carry over my tobacco status. So this should be green right now because I already answered that question. So they're working on that. So if you go ahead and you can still go ahead and do your questionnaire. If it doesn't go through eventually, it will. So that's just an easy way to see your progress there. You can access the health questionnaire from this page. If you just click right here, it'll take you right to the questionnaire if you don't do it right away. So where you want to spend most of your time this year is my plan. So last year I think a lot of you probably spent most of your time in the wellness events page because that's where you got all of your points. This year there are a couple opportunities that are outside of the wellness events page where you can also get points. So you want to go to my plan because it's going to show you all of your requirements and all of the places where you can get points. So again, you see the green bars here on this page. And these are the 3 requirements that we just talked about. So you want all of those bars to go across before you're going to be completed. So another visual there for you to be able to see that. You can access all of the other pages through the My Plan page. So for example, if I wanted to go to the wellness events page, I could click right here. Or if I wanted to take my health questionnaire, or if I wanted to go do those education modules, those videos. You can access all of them from the My Plan page. So you're pretty safe if you go to this page. You should be able to find everything that you need. Although if you just want to go straight to the wellness events page, you can do that here too. The health trackers, and I think the education modules are under resources here. So there's different places to get to it, but My Plan is your safest bet because that's where it's going to take you to all your options. So we're just going to kind of go down the line here. The education modules, these were an option last year also. Last year you could only watch 3 of them, and you had a 15-point maximum in this category. This year you can watch 10, so you have a 50-point maximum in this category. So you can watch 10 of these videos. I don't care which one. You could actually watch all of them if you really wanted to, but you're only going to get points for 10 of them. So if you get the 50 points, but you're still continuing to watch videos and you're like, hey, how come I'm not getting my points? That's why. It'll stop giving you points at 50. One of the little bugs I just want to make you aware of is when you watch these videos, sometimes the points don't pop up right here right away, but they should always pop up in My Plan. So if you go back to My Plan and you see education modules here, the points should be over here. If they're not either place, you have to let me know, because then I have to contact them and we'll figure that out. But they should be here. Again, if they're not, let me know. So that's the education modules. Any questions on those before we move forward? Those are pretty straightforward. Okay. The health questionnaire, this is what we talked about before. It should probably take you 8 to 10 minutes. Just asks you health history questions, lifestyle questions, such as how often do you exercise, how many servings of fruits and veggies. It'll ask you some biometric things like your height, your weight, your blood pressure. If you don't know those things, you should know your height and weight. But if you don't know, like, for example, your blood pressure or your cholesterol levels or anything like that, you don't have to enter them in. They're not required. Then when you get down to the bottom of the health questionnaire, if you hit finish, if there are any questions that you are required to answer that you didn't, it'll take you straight back to those. So you just answer them and then hit finish again, and then the points should go right in, and your green bar should go across there. Any questions on the health questionnaire?
Is there a deadline to when that needs to be completed?
Yes, and that's on your handout too. It needs to be completed by July 1st. Is that what it says?
No.
July 1st?
So we can wait until after the health screen?
Yes, you can wait till after the health screen if you want to put those values in. You can. Yep, just by July 1st. Good question. Any other questions on the health questionnaire? Okay, health screening. Again, this is not a requirement of the program. It's offered to all employees. We do the screening here, so it's not done through SimplyWell. But you will eventually get your points in here if you do the health screening with us. So I will upload all of your labs to the SimplyWell portal. May take a couple months, but eventually they will be in there and you will get your points for doing the health screen here. Questions on that? In the wellness events page, I'll show you, you get points for your health score again too. So if you have health score of 90 or above, 89 to 80 or 79 to 70, I think are the 3 categories. You get points for those. Those will go in about the same time as you get points for the health screen. Okay? Health trackers. This is a new feature this year. They were existent last year, so you might have seen them and you might have been able to use them, but you weren't getting points for them. So this year you can get points for them. It's somewhat similar to some of the challenges that were offered on SimplyWell, except for there aren't any thresholds that you have to meet in order to get points for the trackers. So these are the trackers that you can use. These are the different things that you can track. So for example, exercise, moderate to high intensity. If I exercised this morning, which I didn't, I was going to, and I didn't. If I exercised this morning, I would click today's date. This is the only required one here, just say what you did, aerobics, high intensity, or whatever, and submit, and I get a point for that. So it's not necessarily saying you can't do it unless you exercise for an hour. Or you can't do it unless you exercise for 30 minutes. If you exercise for 10 minutes and that's good for you, great. Go ahead and enter a tracker in. And you get 1 point per tracker. So,
What is the maximum for that?
yep, 150 points maximum for the trackers total. So if you just want to use one of them, maybe you only want to track your sleep and that's it, you can get 150 points in sleep alone. But say you want to use exercise, you want to use sleep, you want to use water, you want to use fruits and vegetables, still 150 points total of all of those combined.
And it's 1 point per entry?
Yes, 1 point per entry.
Is that all manual entry, or is there any integration with any fitness apps?
The Fitbits will track the steps, I believe. Don't quote me on that because I know the Fitbits track steps for like our steps challenge because there's a threshold. But let me check on that and I'll follow up with you because I'm not sure since there's not a threshold on the trackers. I will let you know.
Will we still be doing challenges also?
Yes, and I'll get to those. We are still going to have the same challenges as last year. Yeah. So 1 point per tracker entry, and there is a maximum of 1 point per tracker per day. So that somebody can't go in here and say, I exercised in the morning and then I exercised at night and get 2 points. So 1 point per tracker per day, 150 points maximum. Questions on those? I think that's going to be a good thing. A lot of people one of their main concerns was that they weren't getting points for exercising. I exercise 5 days a week, but I still am having a really hard time completing this program, which is a good point because exercise is a huge part, obviously, of wellness. So this is how we kind of met that need. Yeah.
So you could get 5 points a day if you do all those things, and then you track them and you a max of 150.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So it could max out really quick if you're
Sure.
tracking everything.
Sure.
Yeah. And another thing on these, so we have our auditing process or whatever. This is going to be extremely difficult and tedious to audit. So these trackers are on the honor system this year. That's why I put a maximum on them. So somebody can't say, well, I sleep 8 hours a night, therefore I complete the program. So, yeah, that's why there's a maximum on it. So it's just the honor system, and we're just hoping that people will be honest throughout the year about what they are actually doing. And really, there's no reason not to be honest because even if you only sleep 3 hours a night, great, you track it and you still get a point. So, any questions on those? Other questions on
So for auditing, I mean, other than just entering our dates, we don't need to keep track or have justification.
Not for these trackers, no. We still are going to go through the auditing process, which we'll talk about, but no tracking for these, yeah. Good question. Other questions on the trackers? All right, that's one of the biggest changes. So we'll go back to my plan here. So that was the health trackers. The tobacco-free, like I said, that should have gone in for me, but they're going to fix that. And then wellness events. You guys should be all familiar with this page unless you're completely new to the program. It looks a lot shorter because we did kind of combine some things and condense. Plus, there's also no challenges going on right now, so there aren't any challenges down there. Same thing goes pretty much. If you just click on each one, it's going to give you a description. I don't know why I did that. That's nice. Let's try this one. So it'll give you a description of what you have to do in order to get those points. It's going to give you probably some examples and then tell you if you need to keep proof for auditing purposes in each one. One of the other new upgrades that I really like is so you can enter the date. And I'm going to do this tonight, so I'll just enter it in. I picked today, and I have Bible study tonight, so I'm just going to put Bible study in the note so that I know. And that's just for your benefit. That's not necessarily, it'll help you along with the auditing process, but it's not sufficient also. So you can't just fill in the notes, and then if you get audited, be like, well, can't you just look at my notes? Will help, but we still want to have that proof of like ticket stubs or itineraries or whatever it is that you're doing. Does that make sense? But I think that's a really good feature to have, because before you just had the date and you're like, well, I don't even remember. And a lot of people actually were keeping like spreadsheets of their own. On this date I entered this and this is what it meant. So it just kind of alleviates one step. So are there any wellness events you want me to touch on in particular? Like I said, they each have a description on there. They all pretty much look the same as far as entering the date and the note.
Lunch and learns, we enter ourselves, correct? We
Yes.
no longer enter.
Yes. So one thing I will point out about the wellness events, this is a trick that I don't know why I didn't tell you before, but if the print, so you notice that some of them are in regular font and some are in italics. The ones that are in regular font are the ones that you're responsible for entering yourself. If they're in italics, like if you click on it, you're not going to be able to submit anything. At least you should be. So see, there's nowhere for you to submit here. So sometimes people were like, well, it's not working because it's not there. No, it's because these are the ones that either, like for blood pressure improvement, you have to come to me and we have to do your blood pressure. So I have to enter those points in. So that's kind of how you know. The health score, same thing. Wellness coaching, wellness plan meeting, and the wellness superstar. All of those are ones that I enter on my end. So that's why you're not able to submit. So if it's got the regular italics, such as the lunch and learns, you enter those in yourself. So now you're probably wondering, why do you have to sign in then when you come? That's the auditing part of it. So like at the end of the year, when I get a report of the person who I need to audit, I can see they've entered lunch and learn on October 6th. So then you aren't necessarily going to have to prove that because I have that one. I have your sign-in sheet, so that's your proof. If you don't come to the lunch and learn, your proof is those worksheets. If you're watching the video and filling out the worksheets, you keep that in case you get audited. Does that make sense? Okay. So lunch and learns, yes. To answer your question, you are responsible for entering those in. So today, we went to the lunch and learn. I get credit because, yeah. And we're going to submit. And there it is. So if you were to say somebody is not here and they're going to watch the video, maybe they watch it tomorrow, they just enter tomorrow's date. Just enter the date that you watch the video. You don't have to try and think back or look up when it was. And then that would be a good opportunity for you to enter in a note, maybe, when you watched it. Watch the video, fill that worksheet. Okay? Any other questions on lunch and learns or any other wellness event?
You'll cover the auditing for some of those in just a moment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll answer any questions that you might have about auditing. One of the things, a couple of things that I changed, wellness coaching, I just added some requirements for wellness coaching. So that you know, in order to get these points, this is what you have to do. So 6 sessions of wellness coaching within a 10-week time period. And the coaching must be started before July 1st. Because we were running into problems with people like, I still need 100 points. Hey, can we set up some wellness coaching? But at that point, is wellness coaching really effective? Because do you even have goals or anything you want to work on, or you just want the points? So that's what we're trying to encourage, because it is a big time commitment for both parties. So that's why that's there. And then wellness plan meeting, same thing. If you want to meet and go over goals, go over your questionnaire, your health screen results, or whatever, we can still do that, but I would like it to be done before July 1st. Because the idea is to make a plan for the wellness year. And if you're meeting after July 1st, the wellness program's almost over. So that's the rationale behind those deadlines. Okay, so wellness events, we'll go back to my plan. I think that was the last one. Yes. So those are all the opportunities for points. Are there anything under opportunities for points I missed? Oh, the SimplyWell challenges. So we will have challenges again. I listed there when they will be offered. January and February will be one, April to May, and July to August. So you'll have 3 opportunities to do the wellness challenges. They're going to be 2 months in length this time instead of 3 months. The problem last year was people saw in parentheses July to September, so they thought, if I register for this challenge, I have 3 months to complete it. But in reality, the challenges are they were only 4 weeks long. So really, if you registered in July, you have to complete that challenge by August 1. So then we have issues of, oh, I timed out, I didn't get everything logged in, I thought I still had time. Well, that was why. So there was a little bit of miscommunication there, I think, a little bit of confusion. So this year we just want to be more consistent with the challenges. So for the first one, it's going to be from January to February, so it's going to be 8 weeks long, and you have 8 weeks to complete 20 tasks. And that's going to be across the board for all challenges at all time periods. So let's say for the 10,000 step challenge, you have to get 10,000 steps 20 times in 8 weeks. So I think that's very doable. And hopefully that will alleviate a little bit of confusion with the timing. There will still be beginner and advanced challenges. They're all going to be 20 tasks across the board, but the requirements for each task are cut in half for the beginner. So like for the steps, the advanced will be 10,000 steps, the beginner will be 5,000, but each person still has to do that 20 times over the 8 weeks. Does that make sense? Okay, we'll still have steps, the produce, the water, sleep, and sugar. All 5 of those. Okay, questions about the challenges? SimplyWell challenges? We'll also have random challenges just within Waverly Health Center and activities such as the Healthy Estate Walk yesterday, that kind of stuff. So you'll have opportunities for points there. I don't quite have the schedule done yet as far as when the challenges will be, what they will be, but I'll be communicating those through tuning in, through email, the wellness bulletin board out there. So hopefully the information should get out to you in some way or another. So those forms of communication that I will use for announcements, tuning in every other week. So check the wellness update. Everything about challenges, about updates, about everything is in there. The wellness bulletin board, I'll post stuff on. All staff emails I'll use, but I usually only use them for bigger announcements or events. Like if there's a 5K coming up, I'll send you a meeting request. You don't have to accept it, but that way at least you know that's an opportunity for points. Or like we started the financial fitness challenge a couple weeks ago, last week, whatever, end of September. So I sent out an all staff email for that because that's a bigger thing and it's available to all employees. So I'll try not to use those a whole lot, but I will use them periodically. And then the SimplyWell portal, there's always information on here. The forms tab, I just noticed today is not updated, so it's still got all the forms from last year. But if you go to the forms tab, this is where you're going to find, like, they have a welcome packet that they're going to put up here with just information pretty much about what we talk about today. This is where you'll find all of the worksheets for the lunch and learns. Your volunteer hours form, if you volunteer and you want a way to track that for auditing, that's there. That wellness calendar is old, so you can look at it if you want, but it's not going to be much help to you. So that's another form of communication, place you can look for information. And then auditing. Lastly, we audit 10% of the employees who complete. So this year we had like 130 employees who completed, so I'm auditing 12 or 13-ish people. So that's when we ask that you, basically I'm going to give you a list of all of the things I need proof on, things that I don't have proof on my end. So it's stuff like volunteering, preventative exams, interest clubs, attending a performance, those kinds of things that I wouldn't know about. So for those things for auditing, if you keep track of receipts, appointment cards, ticket stubs, programs, pictures, even anything to just show me that it's what you did. I'm not going to be super picky about it because I trust you guys, and you haven't given me a reason not to. So I'm not going to be super strict about it, especially for the personal things like preventative exams and like financial health action. I'm not going to ask to see a bank statement or ask to see your lab results or your EOBs. That's too invasive. I wouldn't want to show that to somebody of my stuff either. So that's where like an appointment card, maybe if you met with a financial advisor, stick his business card in a folder, or your appointment card for your annual exam, something like that. Something easy and simple. questions on the auditing process?
I see for the volunteer hours, there is a form
Yep,
under that too.
Yep,
Log
it's-
that.
it's this form right here. I wonder if I click on it, what does happen? I believe, there we go. So it just asks for your name, where you volunteered, the person you volunteered for.
Or minutes from that meeting or
Yep.
such.
Mhm.
Just
Yep.
okay.
So you will enter those then?
The volunteer.
Mhm.
Nope, you enter
Oh, we
those.
can do those too?
Yep, and this form is just in case you get audited.
Oh, okay.
Just for you to have in case you get audited. So yep, you enter the volunteering, and volunteering is one submission for every hour that you volunteer. So you can enter today's date for volunteering if you volunteer for 1 hour, but let's say you volunteer for 3 hours, you're gonna need to make 3 separate submissions all for today. Does that make sense?
It was that way last year too.
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And for volunteering, this, I'm not going to say that this form is required for every time that you volunteer. If you've got some other kind of proof, like a picture maybe of you volunteering, that's fine. This is just in case you want something for yourself to kind of keep track of things. So for auditing, just a little tip, I would recommend that, like tonight I go to Bible study, if I don't even think about how I'm going to prove that. A flyer maybe about the Bible study. I'm going to put that in my folder tonight. I'm not going to wait until September rolls around, oh hey, you got audited, and then I'm like, oh crap, what did I do last October for this interest club, and then you got to go find it. So that's going to be my recommendation, that you try to keep up on that throughout the year so that you don't run into that. I don't want it to be a painful process, and it's super easy and slick. If I say, hey, you got audited, you're like, okay, here's my folder, and I take 5-10 minutes to go through it, and it's done and over with. So it can be a very painless process if you just kind of keep up with it. Stay organized throughout the year.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
It's just a little tip from me, what I did last year, and it was great, on my desktop. I'm not doing this wrong, I
Uh-oh.
Well, what I did,
Cover your ears.
You're getting a look.
yeah. I just made 2 folders on my desktop, and one was just for my documentation, so I just scanned it in, threw it in that folder, and I just put a date on it, so if I did get audited, you would probably tell me the date, and I could just pick the date, open it up, and there it was. So, that's what I did.
That's great.
And it was simple and easy, and
Yep.
I didn't have to worry about,
Yep.
and I could always pull it by the date. Can I do that?
They do have an upgrade. They do have an upgrade on SimplyWell that I haven't turned on yet because I didn't know how you guys would feel about it. But they have the opportunity to make there a place where you guys, like for example, attend a performance. There's a place where you could scan in a picture of your ticket stub and then it's there. So that's an opportunity. I think the problem right now is it's either you don't have it on or you have it on and it's a requirement. So I see that being a problem for people who don't have the opportunity to scan something or take a picture of something or whatever. So if that ever changes, I think they said they were working on it. If that ever changes where that's not a requirement, that it's just an option, do you think that would be helpful for you guys
Yeah.
to have turned on? Yeah, as an option. Okay, so I'll make some kind of announcement if that ever is the case. So yeah. Other questions?
Is there any place we can upload our steps or anything?
The tracker would be the one where you put your steps. Is that what you're asking? Or how do you like link it
Upload
up?
it. Yeah, is there a way to link
Yep.
it up?
So if you go, let's see, if I can remember. I think it's over here, settings. If you go to apps,
Okay.
apps marketplace, and then manage apps down here, and you can pick what you have. So I have a Fitbit, which reminds me I probably need to reconnect it. But you hit connect, and then you'll have to have a Fitbit account, or like if you have a Garmin, you have to have your Garmin account, and that's where you would enter this information, your Fitbit account information. You hit login, and then it's linked up. There's a little bit of a delay sometimes if you're relying on it for like the challenges. I think it's because you have to sync, like you have to go into your Fitbit app and sync your Fitbit to that app for it to sync with SimplyWell. Does that make sense? So if it's not going in and you're wondering why, that might be why. I might try syncing it to that first. Good question. Other questions? Sorry, we're kind of short on time. Good? All right, well, feel free to contact me if you ever run into any problems, any questions. That's why I'm here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can. Yeah. Yeah. And if you want more, like, if you want more help with that too, if you coaching, or if you just want a one-time thing, you know, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yep.
I just wanted to bring it out.
Uh-huh. So I'm going to stop this real quick.
Yeah.